last week we got up to the point where we had built these action buttons, and these action buttons are the buttons that when somebody on Slack monitors the Slack channel and likes what they've seen, they can just click the approve button, or they can click the edit or deny. Now here's just a high level diagram of what we are building. So the refund request workflow, from the beginning, an email comes in, which is the number one point here. Then the email is sent to an LLM. In our case, it's the OpenAI LLM. That LLM extracts key bits of information from the email, and those key bits of information are then passed to two other LLMs. That one would compare the reason for requesting a refund against the refund policy, and then based on the response, an email is generated. So that email that's generated is then sent into a Slack channel for review. At the point of review, the people who are reviewing the email can either deny, approve, or edit the email. So if they edit the email, then the requirement is that the email plus the edit that was applied would then get passed into another LLM for that LLM to generate a new draft of the email. And then that new draft is passed back to Slack to a different channel, and then they use different multiple channels to handle the different sets of messages. Then for that second channel, they can decide if they want to approve or do a further edit. So that second edit is effectively the final draft. And then that final draft gets sent back to Slack, and then Slack would then either, at that Slack point, they can either decide to approve it or just perhaps take over at that point. It's unclear from the requirement what's supposed to happen at that point. So just to give you at a high level what's actually happening. So these are the points for the refund request. So we've done the OpenAI integration. We've also done the first level review. So that first level review was what I tested before it was raised to my attention. I wasn't sharing my screen. So let's click that. So I've set the automation running, and what we'll do is act like the person who's just edited the first draft. So here I've said, can you make this message more empathetic? Also, the recipient is a long-term client. Take all this information into consideration. So I click edit. So I click edit, and then as soon as I click edit, it comes into the automation. So let's have a look at the automation and what was received. So here we can see that the the action ID here is edit, because that's what we configured in the blocks. So once that edit is matched, this switch step then routes the request to the relevant downstream processes, and then the message that we're interested in is here, which is what I typed in the input box in Slack, and then the original email is also passed back, and that's here, this one right here, right? So what we then do is we then decide, okay, there's not an edit has been clicked, so what do we do next? The requirement is, if edit is selected, the manager adds internal notes and comments. Then the notes are passed back to OpenAI, which regenerates the email and update the package. The updated package is sent to the second level review, which is another channel. So let's do the passing of all of that information to the LLM. So how you do that is in N8N, which is the tool we're using here, you click this plus button, or you can click plus that appears on the right hand side here, and then we are sending this directly to the LLM. So we click AI, and then within AI we've got OpenAI, and then within OpenAI we've got here message a model. So that's what we're trying to do, message the model. So we click select message the model, and then it brings up the screen for us. Now what I've done is, prior to this, I went into ChatGPT and gave it instructions to generate the prompt that I can use here. So that's one trick you can use to save you time and get more accuracy in what you're generating. So if I go back to my OpenAI prompt. So I asked it for two prompts. One's a system prompt and the other one is a user prompt. The system prompt essentially provides the high-level instructions for the large language model to follow. The user prompt is where you put in the information that you want to pass, and that's more dynamic, so that changes with each time that step is triggered. So I'm just going to paste the prompt in here. If you want to see what that looks like, you can go. So you're a professional customer service writing assistant. Your task is to revise customer communication based on reviewer comments. Okay, so this one, you give it the correct role, which is system, and then we add another message. This time, this is the user prompt that goes in that box. So I copy that from my ChatGPT, then paste it in here. Now, pasting it in here, you'd have a couple of red areas, and that's because the variables that you're seeing in here do not relate to the actual any of the previous steps. So here, the information in here is saying, here is the initial draft of the email to the customer. Okay, so in this section now, we need to put in the initial draft. So that initial draft we can find here. So you just click on it, drag it into that section, and then the good thing is the Slack sends back everything that I've sent to it in the block, so we can rely on that. And then the reviewer comment, we need to find where the reviewer comment is, and that is in the block. Where is it? So right here. Okay, so just going to drag this into here, then it goes green. Okay, right, so that's it. So when this step runs, it's going to receive the initial draft and then the reviewer comments, and then we'll see what it comes back with. So that bit is done, that step is done. We can execute the step right at this point. So I'm just going to execute the step and see what it comes back with. So that's running in the background. I don't know if it's waiting. Okay. Well, the workflow has issues and cannot be executed for the reason. Please fix that. What is the reason? Am I missing any? Oh, okay. I didn't pick a model. So for the model, I'm going to select 401 mini. Could do mini because it's not a big, huge task. And then can we execute here? Okay, so it's waiting for the previous step. So let's do the click again, and then once we've done the edit again, the information should then go and then get automatically triggered. Yeah, so as you can see, it's now come up with a completely new message. So your refund request approved, dear Jason. Of this message finds you well. First and foremost, I want to sincerely apologize for the inconvenience. Right, so if you compare that to the original one that it generated, which is over here, dear Jason, thank you for reaching out to us regarding your recent towing service. So completely different message, completely different tone. Right, so that's us. We've satisfied the number 3, item number 3, and then the next one is we need to send to the second level review, which is to the refund approvals channel. So refund approvals channel, we need to create that channel. That channel doesn't exist yet. So right here, you go into Slack, you click this drop down, you go to create channel. So I'll just click create channel, select the create channel, just give it time to spin up. Right, so I'm selecting blank channel. Then it wants a channel name. Where do I put the channel name? Let's go next. channel name is refund approvals. Okay, so that's the channel name. Private, anyone and only specific people. Let's just make it private for now. If it would let us. Okay, click create. So refund approvals. So that channel is now created. Okay, let's see. Working with external people. Yeah, let's just skip for now. So refund approvals is there. The previous one's refund requests. So the next step for us within the automation is after the output comes out of this step, this LLM step, we want to send the message to the refund approvals to Slack channel. So go to Slack and select Slack. I may need to edit the text that comes out of the last one, and I'll show you why in a sec. So the options we have are channel actions, so message actions, send a message. So we select send a message. So within send a message, the credentials for Slack, they've already been created from our previous sessions. And then the resource we're sending is a message. And then the operation is to send. So send message to a channel. And then we say select from a list. So if you click this drop down, you see the different channels that I currently have on there, and then refund approvals. So that's the channel that is sending a message to. So if I do send a simple message, and then in the text, I just put this content here in the text. So it's raise that. What else is it saying? Reply to message, use markdown. That's fine. So let's just execute the step. Right, so I've populated everything, I've executed a step. It's now showing me that it has sent the message. So let's have a look at Slack, and then there you can see, there you go. So it's right there, it's posted it. I hope this message finds you well. First and foremost, I want to sincerely. So that's the message that was generated when we last ran the automation step. Okay, but the thing to bear in mind is, even though we've got the Slack channel right, and we've sent the refund request data, they want the full refund request data. So that comes from some previous steps, which we can look at later. But the drafted response goes, the reason they want this full refund request data is they want to see all of the criteria that were used to determine this this email, to create this email. So it'll be things like, if we look at refund requests, where we had something sent previously, we had things like, okay, the amount, the email, the name, the refund reason, and all these things. So obviously these bits of information will be useful for anybody who has to appraise the email that was generated. Okay, so that's that. So what we're going to do is we're sending the initial email. Now, if you want to send any action buttons with a message, then you have to create something called blocks. And those blocks contain different elements within a standard message in Slack. So if we look at the block kit, right here is a normal block kit, just standard block kit. So let's clear all the blocks. Right, and what we want to do is we've cleared everything, and what we want to do is send a message. So on the left hand side, we'll select plain text. Right, so that plain text is essentially what we're going to where we're going to put in the email that we've generated. And then in addition to that, what did this request say? They want a button called approve, and they want an edit. So the edit adds a second level of comments for AI to regenerate the final draft, and then the other one is just approve, typical approve. So we want two buttons. So over here we click first button, and then we'll click button again. right? So when you have buttons laid out like this, then what you have is within the blocks is something called an array. So it's just a list of different items within the block. But in our case, we want it to look nicer, and we also want the buttons to be laid out next to each other. And that's what I did with the previous one. So how do we get that to happen here? We need to, within the elements, if I recall correctly, within the elements, we need to copy this section here. And I'm just going to put in the elements. Just paste it, right? And then remove the rest of this. Okay. So why is this complaining? Is it because of the ID? Yeah, it's complaining because of the ID. So let's fix that. So the value here is, in this case, I'm just going to say second approve. Yeah, what do they call it here? We've called it second level. So let's call it second underscore level underscore approve, and then here we'll do okay 1 2 3 in the action ID, because that's what I'll look for when it comes to those sides. So second level approve, and then here I'll call this second level edit. Okay. In terms of text type, I like the so we go in here and then we change this. So that's approved. Looks nice with the emoji. And then for edit, just copy it from here across to this one. So we're removing click me and we're putting edit in this one. Okay, so that's that. The value, I would give this the same value as the name of the action ID. Okay, so in here I'm just going to put a placeholder for the email. I'm just going to put something like that. Email message. So what this translates to is when I copy this back to the N8N, it would flag this area as red, and then I would have to make the change. So that goes there, and then so I'm just going to copy the block. So I've built what that should look like. So if we go into N8N now, so here the message type we change to blocks. So when you change that to blocks, it says to create blocks, use Slack's block kit builder, which is what we just used. What I don't remember is if I can copy everything in here, which I think I did the last time. So just copy everything in here. So this is the blocks area. If it doesn't work, we'll find out soon enough. So I've pasted it into this box here. So obviously I mentioned that this bit will go red because it's an unrecognized variable by the automation workflow. But what we actually want is the content from the LLM step. So I'm just going to drag the content into this bit here. Okay, so we now have the block built, and we also have the email message come in. So let's execute the step and see what happens. Okay, so it fails. So it gives us this error, and the reason it gives us this error is because if you have a look at the content that was generated by the LLM, you can see here there's some hidden characters, backslash n, backslash n, backslash n, backslash n. So these things tend to mean that when you send a request to an endpoint, the JSON that's generated as part of this just does not work, because it's not expecting spaces and not expecting backslash n's. And the way to fix that is to essentially replace those backslash n's with just a space. And that's what I did in the previous one. Let me just remind myself of how I did that. I think it was, I may have done dot replace dot replace, and then the pattern was backslash n. Okay, it doesn't like that. Red or blue, replace all. Okay, let's remove this. Okay, so let's see if that makes a difference. Okay, so I've done that. So essentially what I've done here is I've taken the output from the last step from the LLM, and here I'm just doing a bit of cleaning up of the text. So the cleanup is to remove these backslash n's here within the original message, and then when I execute it, it should appear in Slack. So that's done, that's gone green. So let's execute this again, and hopefully it should all work fine. So you can see it's sent the email to the other to the Slack channel, which is what we see here, right? And then you can see the buttons approve and edit. Okay, so that satisfies the second level review. Now, what he then says is sending the email to the requester on final approval, right? Here, what this means is that if the guy says approve at this point, then what should happen is an email gets sent over to the person who requested the refund. If edit is clicked, then it needs to go back into another LLM, and then that LLM will then determine if will then generate the final draft. Okay, so how do we build that? So the first thing we need to do is we need something that would take the request that's going to the webhook and then handle the queries or handle the information at that point. Now, we've got two options. We can either send this response to a different webhook, or we can use the same webhook. And I'm minded to use the same webhook because then it's simpler. But if we're going to use the same webhook, let's have a look at what comes in, because I'm not entirely sure what it would look like if you clicked approve at this stage. So let's set this running, and then we'll click the approve here, or just click edit. So if I click edit, what does it do? So, okay, so it's coming. That's why we see one item there, but we don't see one item anywhere else. So that means it got to this point and it kind of stopped, right? Which is fine. If we double click this and then look at the action ID from that last message. So the action ID comes in with second level edit, and we don't have a rule for second level edit. So this is fantastic, because then we don't need to have a separate webhook to handle the second level edits. We can just use the same section here. All we need to do is add another rule to the switch, which I'm going to do now. And then that rule I'm adding is here. So I'm saying this action ID is equal to then I put in here what I expect it to come in as. And in this case, I'm going to do, let me do second level approve and then second level edit for the 2 buttons. Right. And then we can add another one. Second level edit. Yeah, so that's it, just exactly what we want. So then we then put the value in there. So second level edit. So what we're saying is, if this field comes in with second level approve, follow this path. If it comes in with second level edit, follow the other path. So what you then see is that now we suddenly have more options. This middle one was the first edit that we dealt with previously, that then sent a message to Slack, and then someone has clicked approve or edit, then these other rules will get triggered. So so the first approval says if approve here sends email to the customer, and what that looks like is essentially this rule number 3 here starts with 0, but rule number 3 here says send email. So what we can do is just, in my case, we're using Gmail, so I'm going to say Gmail. We probably won't send the email, we'll just put something in a draft. So we can just do create a draft, and the subject would be from, okay, we don't have the previous run, so we'll probably have to rerun everything to get everything. So here we take the subject from the previous email, and then in terms of the message, we'll then put the text from the previous stages. So we can fill this in a bit later, and it may complain actually. Let me tidy this up. Okay, so let me with this one. Okay, let me just set this to execute so that we can get some of the text. Okay, what was it complaining about? Let's do hello here, just do test, and then execute the previous ones. Okay, if I just do approve, so I clicked approve and then it's come in. So it's now populated this section on the left hand side. So that section is where I get all of the information I need. Now one thing is that the subject is part of the overall email body. So one way to fix that would be to change the prompt so that the prompt gives you a separate line for the subject and then gives you the rest of the email. But just so that we carry on, in terms of the text message, the text of the email, I'm just going to drag this into here. Actually, no, we want the formatted one to come through. Okay, yeah. Okay, let's just use this and then put the text in here. And then the subject, we just have to, it's going to be text. Where's the subject? So to do this in a way that the client would accept it, you'd probably want to have the subject slightly different. So your refund request approved. So that's that. I suppose the subject remained the same across the board. So that's the for the approval. That's what will happen with the approval. With the edit, the reviewer would have to add some comments into the block. So if we have a look at what's in here, approve, we do not have a block. We don't have any, we don't have an input box within the block. So we have to add one. And we need to do that by clicking, where's the input? We need to create an input section. Where is it? Okay, there you go, input here. So we want a multi-line plain text input. So I click that, and you'd see that it's showing it under the buttons, but we don't really want it under the buttons. We want it above the button. So I'm just going to take it out from there and then just paste it in here. Okay, so now we have the buttons there. In terms of the text, I'll just put review. So that's that. And what I'd also like to do is add a divider, just so that it's clear where the original email starts and where the edits should begin. So we've got a divider here. If I click plain divider, it goes in underneath. But what we want to do is we want to just clip it from there, and then just after the original email, we'll just paste that in here, and then boom, you see the email there, and then you've got divider, and then that's it. So let's copy all of this into the automation. So right here. Okay, so I'm just going to put this, create another section underneath here, and just paste what I've just got there in here. And then I just want to copy this section right here. So I'm just replacing what was there previously with the new one that has a divider and the input section. So now we can delete what was there previously. So we've got second level edit, we've got second level edit, second level approve. That's it. So we've made those changes. So what that means now is that if we trigger the automation, it should now present something slightly different in Slack. Okay, so if I click execute the step, and then I say okay, so we go to refund approvals or refund requests. Then I have to make my my edit thing. So then it goes, why is it status 404? Let's see why it's responded with the 404. Okay, let's get this going. Okay, let's press this, edit. Okay, so let's come back. Right. Okay, so it's done it really quickly. The AI has done its update, and then it's presented it for review, and then here is where we'll put whatever text we need to put in to do the second level review. And that's I think we should stop there. It's So we've done the level 3 and we've done level 4. We've got the approve, we've got the edit. So now the next thing that's remaining is sending the email to the requester on that final approval. And then there's another Slack channel, the refund outcomes, that we're yet to create, and then the Gmail post processing. So we'll carry on with this at our next session. If you do have any questions, feel free to post them. Let me look at the chat to see what's being said. Oops. Oh yeah, indeed. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry about the work screen. I didn't realize I wasn't sharing at that point. Yeah. Definitely. Automation all the way with intelligence behind the scenes. So at the next session, we'll take it from 5. I am considering just running these over the next few days so that we're not running this week in, week out, because before you know it, it will take 9 weeks to just finish one job, which isn't how it tends to go. But I'll let you know if I run this perhaps every half hour every day until we get to the end. But thank you so much for joining us today. What we've learned today is how to use the action buttons from Slack to then communicate with OpenAI. But the overarching thing that we've just done is we've added a human to the loop, and the human is now involved in determining what information goes to the person who's requested a refund. And when we talk about a human in the loop, this is all part of that process. So thank you so much for joining me today, and until next time, keep building.